Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. I'm Biola Labib.
I'm Tundra Abiola.
2 days ago, Boko Haram jihadists seized a military base in Borno State, northeast of Nigeria, days after an attack left 5 troops dead and 30 others missing. This attack is the latest in a long history of bloody confrontations between the Nigerian military and several terrorist groups who for over a decade have made life a living hell for millions of people around the Lake Chad Basin, particularly on the Nigerian side. And the theater of that war keeps expanding with the ramping up of killings and kidnappings of travelers, not just in the north, but in other places around the country. Some representatives of ethnic nationalities have recently called on President Muhammadu Buhari to immediately impose a state of emergency on certain parts of the country. For more on this, we're now being joined by Yinka Odumakin, the National Publicity Secretary of the Nigeria socio-cultural group Afenifere, as well as the Secretary of the Southern and Middle Belt Leaders Forum. You're welcome to the program, and thank you for being with us again.
Good morning.
You heard the introduction. You've seen the headlines. I mean, I think yesterday when we reviewed the headlines, all we were talking about was insecurity in Zamfara, Taraba, Kaduna, everywhere across the country, especially in the northeastern. This is escalating. We have Boko Haram on one hand, we have the IS West Africa on one hand, and now we have something that we're now calling bandits. We have the Fulani herdsmen. How do you make sense of everything that's happening, and what is the call to the president?
Well, I think the truth of the matter today is that the governable space in Nigeria is shrinking. The places where authority prevails, where law and order operates, where you can talk of the fact that people can sleep with 2 eyes closed, is becoming reduced on a daily basis. I was told a few days ago that many elites in Katsina State now, they go to Niger Republic to go and sleep and come to Nigeria in the day. Is that bad? And God will not let us lack visionary leaders. You know, in 1966, 67, Chief Ofmolo was in Calabar prison when he wrote a book titled Thoughts on Nigerian Constitution. There was this debate then about how Nigeria should be constituted. And I was said in that book, on page 54, that any attempts to run Nigeria along unitary lines will be productive of ethnic disharmony, violent conflicts, and the whole administrative machinery of government will crumble under bureaucratic centralism, except to get superhumans to run the affairs of Nigeria. That is where we are today. Everything has collapsed. Nigeria is becoming virtually a free state. And in fact, the country is dying. And you see, the problem is that, you see, why people don't notice that the country is dying is that a country does not die like a human being. A human being can be healthy now, the next minute says dead, or be sick this night and says dead the morning. But a country dies gradually. And when symptoms are all over the place, many people are too busy to piece these things together. It's not the death of the country. I say, oh, when this was happening, the country was dying. So Nigeria today is on the death throes, and we must do something beyond state of emergency, beyond committing the same errors that have brought us here. We have to rejig, we have to readdress, we have to renegotiate Nigeria to bring about.
How do you renegotiate, rejig? What are you suggesting?
That's when we're talking all this while. Let us restructure. And we are not speaking any big grammar. That's what it means. That we have to readdress the question of power relations in Nigeria. You cannot, the whole idea of police in Nigeria from Abuja, from the center, has failed. You are seeing the IG now, today is in Lagos because they kill somebody in a football center. Tomorrow he ran to this place. Before he gets to Benin, he has forgotten what happened in Lagos. You cannot do that. Every authority in Nigeria should be able to organize their own security and their own defense. But because we want to do this command and control from Abuja, we are not allowing different units to have their own police. In some countries, even local governments, universities have their own police. But here we have 30 state governors who have no police. When there's anything in their state, they have to call on the police commissioner can call on the IG before he answer the governor. Now, crime, most time, the kind of witnessing is cultural. If you take a policeman from Lagos State or your state to Zamfara now, when he gets there, even if he's sitting with bandits and they're talking, he doesn't understand what they're saying, so he's deaf. When the bandits go right, he goes left, but he doesn't know the road, he's blind. Whereas indigenes of the states, as policemen, they are more effective in tackling some of these crimes because most of these things is about getting information. Banditry, criminality, they are not things that you deal with when they're happening. There are things you have to prevent. You need to have superior intelligence. And now, I was depressed yesterday when I heard that the Nigerian government has gone to meet herdsmen to come and solve banditry. The herdsmen who, in 2015, Global Terrorism Index were declared the fourth most deadliest terror group in the world. It's now the Nigerian government is now contacting.
You're referring to the meeting that the Minister for Interior had with the herdsmen.
Herdsmen, yes.
Yes, but I also want to buttress your point. Yeah. More and more people are waking up to the need for decentralization of our police force. Yeah. The Inspector General of Police, as well as the Minister of Defense, called on northern traditional rulers to reactivate traditional community policing to solve this issue. But what is the likely effect of that, given the recent disaster that happened to former governor of Sokoto State, Bafarawa, who talked about this spate of killings and kidnappings, the rampant insecurity in the country. And as a result, he was targeted. There was a killing in his household. Yeah. His nephew was kidnapped. Yeah. Does this not then tie the hands of the northern traditional rulers, who now will stick their neck out to say they want to combat the bandits? Well,
I think that's it's really a wrong call. To call on traditional rulers to go and reactivate community policing. What we are talking about is the state police. You have authorities in the states. And this is not just for a section of the country. So if you call another traditional authorities to do them today, so when it happens tomorrow in the south, what do? No, you don't run it. You don't run the affairs of a country like that. We are saying that we have tiers of government. The federal government and the government are the federal units. We are supposed to be states. These governors today, when you go to most of the states today, is the governors who are funding the police. All the vehicles that you see the police carrying around in Lagos, in Muslim, they are paid for by the state.
So you're saying that call by the IGP is applying plaster when you need surgery? It's too superficial.
It's too superficial. What we are talking about is that the states, the federal units, must have their own police under their control, their command, and they can put them to good use. Not the idea of, all they are talking about is the fact that they still want to maintain this command and control from Abuja.
Fair enough. So there's a bigger challenge on the table, which is around restructuring and restructuring the police force, restructuring how we secure Nigeria. But today we're in a crisis. There's a crisis on our hand. What do we do currently with the crisis on our hand, especially in the states that are currently facing bandits, herdsmen, and kidnapping? This is rampant now.
Yes, there are no easy physics to these things. You have to do the right thing. It's like you are going to Ibadan, and instead of going through Lagos by Expressway, you face the road to Benin Republic. Then you now go to the border and say, oh, please, I'm going to Ibadan. Say, I know you are close to Seme. You are going to Benin Republic. And I say, oh, because I've gone so far, let's continue going. The farther you run, the farther you are away from your destination. Unless you go back to the basics, you can't find solutions to these things. For instance, part of the problem is also the fact that this thing you are doing about sharing oil money, oil rents, VAT, whoever knew that there's a large deposit of gold in Zamfara, which is part of the problem now. When in 2014 we had the national conference, I said that, look, let every section of Nigeria go under their soil and bring out the resources that we cannot afford more states. People didn't know what they're talking about. Until the crisis of right now, people now know that there's a large gold deposit there. Nigeria must become productive. Every section of Nigeria must become a productive center. The more productive your country becomes, the more people you put at jobs, the lesser the number of people that banditry can recruit. But even if you look at the people I see 2 days ago, even the government is saying that by 2020, unemployment rate in Nigeria will be at 5%. So I made that official figure. We're going close to 60%. If you have seen the latest figures by Bloomberg, you have seen it. Bloomberg is saying that as of now, we are spending over 60% of our revenue to service debt. And they are projecting by 2023, we move to 3%. Not repaying debt to servicing debt. On every indices, between 2014 and now, we have gone down. Yes. Direct foreign investment from 5 to 2. Unemployment, every indices, we are going down and down. And you see, part of the problem I see on the ground today, you know, when you had Obasanjo, you had Yar'Adua, even under Jonathan, when the Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala and so when they come on here to talk, you may disagree with them. They can say, okay, so they're making some sense. Who is that person today? Now, when he talks about the economy, you can see that, oh, okay, there's some idea here. We are not addressing the issues.
So your point is that security is a fallout from a macro
issue,
which we all agree.
Oh, yes.
But we still don't, I mean, there are real people being kidnapped.
Yes.
There's real immediate security issues. So what can we do in the short term? What can this president do in the short term? And then we can talk about long-term issues around restructuring. In the short term, you can do some fire brigade. There's fire in the house, you can get water, you have. But when you put out the fire, you've not addressed what caused the fire. So as you are putting out the fire, police, IG goes there, this one goes there. What is your position on a state of emergency being declared? State of emergency. What really can it do when you don't have the ingredient, the infrastructure to deal with this matter? You just do it in them. So for me, it's just grammar. The real issue, like I said, is that yes, there can be short-term measures of law and order. And you know that does not solve the problem. For as long as you cannot guarantee decent living for most of the citizens, they are vulnerable. You know, I don't know why I've watched it. Since they have been killing armed robbers in this country, have you ever seen any armed robber that they are telling and say, oh, yes, I was working in John Holtz. Then when we closed in the evening, then we went for robbery. No! Now, the people banditry is recruiting are mostly unemployed people. So speaking of that, I want to take you to the south-south region of the country and the spate of kidnappings on East-West Road, Port Harcourt, Warri-Port Harcourt Expressway, where kidnappers are reportedly telling their victims that they're doing this because the federal government has stopped paying them their 65,000 naira a month allowances. What is your reaction to that? That's just what they said, that you don't use fire brigade approach on a banning basis. You went to gather militants and the rest of them say, okay, well, don't worry, come on and embrace peace, we pay you 65,000 naira monthly. You are not integrating them to society. You are not making them productive citizens. You are making them to depend on handouts from the states. For how long can the states sustain that? Then we stop it, what do you do? They go back into crimes. That is why I'm saying that, yes, you can deploy fire brigade measures to merely put out the fire. But that does not address the cause of the fire. And that's what we are seeing in South. So what are your expectations for the Harbin-Kunama Phase 3 operations? Are you optimistic about the fact that the military can arrest these developments, or you think it's same old, same old? What can the military do in the midst of all this? What have they done with Boko Haram? I mean, some security experts believe Boko Haram has practically been decimated. Technically defeated. Yes. And they're seizing military base. They're seizing military base. You know, we like to deceive ourselves.
So now when you have warnings from the British government, the British Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt, about the Islamic State West Africa activity in Nigeria, he had to make that intelligence that the British government got, he made it public. And then there's also been threats to the May 29th inauguration. What are our chances at the moment, as in what is the prognosis?
Well, let's separate these two issues. The warning by the British Foreign Secretary, I think, is quite timely and I'm very apt. I've read it. But the army alarm is quite unfortunate. Because what the army reminds us of what Wadanas used to do in those days under Abacha. And even if there is such information, the DSS should process it. Police is there. Army is not the first line to raise such alarm. And you are raising alarm, no concrete things beyond, the kind of speculative report to overheat the polity. That's not the role of the army in a democracy. There are quite lines of, in fact, appropriate lines to have been directed of state security. Even if the army got such information should have been passed with DSS. DSS should have processed it and know how to handle it, not the army.
So one of the challenges we have in Nigeria is that, of course, these things start in one place, but they spread quickly to other places. So a problem in the north could become a problem everywhere. What are some of the things that you believe, because you also said that the number of Nigerians that can sleep with two eyes closed is shrinking rapidly. What are some of your concerns when you look at security in other parts of the country?
Well, look, it's not only in every session of Nigeria today is facing challenges there. Just 4 days ago, on the street of Lagos, just Ojo Tadiye, I was in traffic. I had a Professor Akintoye with me in the car. All of a sudden, I just heard some noise on the glass of the car. Bang, 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 bang. And I looked at the side of the car. I would not know whether it's an area boy, a madman. He stood on the road here and was saying that I want to eat. And then he carried this stone and he hid it, glass again. And my driver brought out 200 naira and gave to me. I said, no, I don't want. My food is 1,000 naira. And then he carried that stone again. I quickly looked for 1,000 naira and then buy it to him. That is where we are. And I was telling, look, if this one is like he's a madman and is even insisting on the denomination he wants, the day the ones that are not mad but have been turned insane by the society, the day they come on the street, woe betide whoever is on the street. So the country is gradually breaking down. And so it's not only bandits in the north, it's all over the country. I'm saying that today, the peaceable area, the governable space in Nigeria is reducing. And unless we address it, I was reading some senior citizens yesterday, talking about the fact that Nigeria is on its way to Somalia. And God help us. And my fear is that we are gradually becoming a failed state because the central authority in Nigeria is collapsing. Nobody's in charge at the moment. The bandits are taking over. So when society gets to that level, there's real crisis. And that's why all hands will be on deck. And I think this should not be about, this should no longer be a partisan issue. It's an issue, it's a survival of the nation. It's about the polity at this stage. And if those in government, if they like the ideas to solve this problem, they should not be ashamed to call for ideas outside the government, outside the party, not talk about, oh, we're in charge. In charge of what?
Some of your ideas.
You saw it?
Some of your ideas.
We put them on.
They're very macro.
Yes,
all your ideas are very macro.
We've only put them on the table. We have no other place to go. Look, the gentleman that said carry stone, I was hitting my glass on the road. He didn't want to know whether I'm APC or PDP or PRP or anything and the rest of them. So when the rubber hit the road, we are all impaired. Therefore, that's why we've been shouting hoax that we cannot continue to live in these errors and deniers. We must begin to address this issue frontally.
But is that the reality, though? Because we all recall when the governor of Zamfara told the president that he cannot handle.
He cannot secure.
Yeah,
right.
He wanted a state of emergency. He was flayed by the opposition.
Yes.
There was none of that support that you just described of, oh, it's not a partisan issue, let's support you. Oh, no, he was lambasted. So that sort of acting in concert does not exist. People are still being partisan, and really they've been partisan over the lives of Nigerians.
No, in fact, when the governor of Zamfara made that claim, some of us came out to back him that, look, he has spoken the truth. That the governors today are just chief security officers in name, not in reality. And that was the truth. You are a governor of a state. You assembly make laws. You sign the laws. But enforcing the law is the hands of another authority. So clearly, Nigeria, as it is not working. And the crisis we have predicted over the years is not coming. But if you are lower with the country, it's not to say, oh, yes, we said it. It's about what do we do about this? And that's what we're talking about. Because
there are no winners in this situation.
Yes.
What is your feeling about the word and the use of the word bandits? The latest declaration by NAF is actually to say that bandits will be treated as terrorists. There's also been a couple of people that have said bandits are terrorists. Bandits, herdsmen, and also bandits, herdsmen, these are words and kidnappers are words that we're all throwing around. How are these words given power, and how are we emboldening people? Because when we say bandit, actually doesn't describe.
One day to sound nice.
Yeah, that's really it.
You see, when the herdsmen started the Ohala, and we are calling them terrorists, we are calling them killer herdsmen and this of them. That was the way the federal government came in and changed the narrative to start using things about farmer-hiders clashes. So which clash are you talking about? Someone is carrying AK-47. Someone is just using cutlass on his farm. And then the AK-47 person is killing the person that carrying cutlass and say they are clashing. What's clash? It's terror. But we don't want to face our problems. We use nice words to describe the situation. It's like somebody that has a wound. And instead of treating the wound, just put some plaster just to cover it looking nice. Whereas the thing becomes gangrenous. So the wound in Nigeria today has become gangrenous. They continue to pretend and be using fine-sounding words, farmers, herders, clashes, bandits. This terror is going on. And Nigeria, the state in Nigeria today is gradually failing. And Nigeria is going under and sinking. But we are not addressing these issues. As we talk now, our president is on a private visit in London. Private visit at public expense. In the midst of all this, the vice president who's in the country has no authority of the president because there was even no transmission letter. Was not made acting president. And Garba, I think, told us that the president can rule for anywhere in the world. So how is he solving the problem now from where he is?
Let me take you back to your initial objection to the Minister of the Interior's meeting with the herdsmen.
Yes.
What exactly is the bone of contention there?
The bone of contention is that herdsmen are part of the problem to be solved. They have been killing people all over the place. None of them has been brought to book. You now want to go and allege facts where I don't want to believe the kind of money that have been mentioned have been thrown at them. To empower them to go and do more criminality or what? When we should be addressing the issue frontally, you are not addressing the issues. You are now trying to want now to empower bandits to solve banditry. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
What is the distinction between that and the amnesty program for the Niger Delta militants? Where do you draw the line there?
Well, clearly, the amnesty program for the Niger Delta militants was a situation created by the area government to solve the question of, pipeline being blown up and this and that. It should have been a temporary thing. But because of the way corruption thrives in Nigeria, we turn it into a permanent thing. Not because of those militants. Because there are officials who are also making a kill on the billions upon billions being voted for this amnesty. So clearly, the amnesty should have been okay as a temporary measure. And as we are winning these boys off militancy, You are integrating them back in society, let them be having skills, let them be going to business and this of them, but you not keep them on stipends. 65,000 naira the first month is something. 2-3 months, it means nothing again. And you want to say, okay, we have solved the problem. We have not. But because corruption thrives in this system, we allow that to go on for years, which has not come to nothing. So for me, I do not think that the amnesty program was a permanent solution to the problem in Nigeria. So I mean a temporary thing. You just get those guys to submit their weapons, and then you begin the process of reintegrating them to society, creating opportunities, and solving the problems. You not solve the problems. You just put some guys, started giving those stipends, now you cannot afford it anymore. What do you expect?
Which is what the kidnappers are saying to their victims. They waylay busloads of people, kidnap a lot of them, and explain to them, this is why you're being kidnapped.
Of course. And then, what do you do about it? We have created, Nigeria has created that corridor of banditry again. Because we don't solve issue with common sense. We do not apply ourselves. Because for everything, you know, Nigerian officials are the one I've seen that even when if there's a disaster today, they are not thinking of resolving that problem. It's how to use that disaster to make money by officials.
So let me ask you, with the current security situation on ground, we have a president that is about to step into his second term. What would you like to hear Buhari say on the day of his inauguration?
Well, it's a difficult one, really, because they say money shows the day. If you are governing the country for 4 years, and this is the results, that now at the end of the 4 years now, you are going about hiring, throwing money at bandits in the face of banditry. The herdsmen, in the last 3-4 years, they have killed thousands of Nigerians. Not one of them has been brought to book, prosecuted. So, and the critical issue about re-engineering Nigeria, about retooling this society, they never came up in the campaigns. They're talking about next level of what? So, clearly, I do not know what he can say in the midst of all this that can inspire the polity or that can raise hope in the land. Because clearly, you know, there's a void. There's a void, clear void.
So is there a silver lining at all? Is there any hope? Because I'm looking for some kind of
bleak, yes.
Well, you see, the only hope that we have in the midst of all this is if we can be honest with ourselves, to admit that Nigeria is in crisis, to admit that what we have done before has not worked, to accept that we have to turn a new leaf, and to get down the high horse of those in government. Let's stop lying to the people. Tell no lies. Claim no easy victory. There's a time they went to they drew some flags somewhere saying, well, they came to present the flag of Boko Haram to the president. I did not stay on operation. Let's be honest ourselves. This is our country. This is about our future. This is about our people. And let's begin to look at genuine solutions to our problems. We need today like what I said, I expected the president in the midst of all this to say, well, this is where we are now. We need the leaders and elders of Nigeria to come together on a round table. How do we solve this problem that we are in? Not to think that going to some very weekly Federal Executive Council or calling some security meetings. In any case, even when you call security meetings, you have a national crisis now. You have a whole security architecture manned by people from just a section of the country. How do you do that?
So I wanted to ask you, will the removal of security chiefs be one of those solutions that you're...
It should be one of the things. But they have been kept for political reasons. Some of them are due for retirement. They should have been gone. Now, people tell Qatar they are kept for elections. Elections are over. What are they still doing there?
Do you think that would boost public confidence in the government if they remove some of the security chiefs?
Not only the public, even the armed forces. There are a lot of officers who have truncated their careers by keeping these guys there. There are people whose career progression have been truncated, who should have moved to the next level, like they say, who are not allowed, because we have kept these guys who have been gone in place. So morale is even down. Then the armed forces. And of course, you must have been reading about silent retirement of officers, mostly on lines that are not heading for the policy. This cannot continue. So what's the morale in the armed forces?
Well, thank you. This continues to be a story that does not have much of a silver lining. Yeah. I hope that I hope there's a change of tide.
Oh, we have to, because we have no other country. Mm-hmm. God forbid, if anything should blow up in this country today, we are all endangered, and that's why this, like I said, that this not about politics, about this and this. It's about the polity. We must say this polity.
One of the things you said repeatedly this morning is that Nigeria is a failed state. Don't you think that's dangerous to say?
Oh, it's clear now. Where is central authority doing? Where is law and order? Who's in charge? Bandits have taken over. As we speak now, a district head from the president's own village is in the hand of kidnappers. So what's going on? Evil governors with all their security cannot claim to be safe. Nobody's safe. So Nigeria is sliding towards a failed state. And that's why we believe that at this stage, it's not just the state of emergency, we have a national emergency in our hands. How do we deal with it? I think we need all the best of Nigeria. But there must be the political environment within which the conversations about the future of our country, how to rescue this country, can take place, and in a genuine manner. And like I said, it should be devoid of political, we're in charge. Nobody's in charge, as it says.
Thank you. It looks like we've missed the opportunity to have a different type of conversation during our last elections, because this sounds more like an election conversation than a governing conversation. Now we need to face the fact that there's a huge security task on our hands.
A lot of bitter truths there.
A lot of bitter truths and hard to swallow. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
My pleasure.
We look forward to having you back, and hopefully under better circumstances.
By God's grace.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.